What's going on, everybody? It's your boy back with another video. This is going to be a review for the Samsung JU7500 50-inch UHD TV. Let's get straight into it. Okay, right off the bat, let's talk about the things that are good about the TV and the things that are bad. Now, when I say the things that are good and bad about the TV, the good you will definitely notice, the bad you most likely won't. That's how good this TV is. So let's just start with the good. The good is that the TV has an extremely high motion blur and input lag, competing with the ideal of actually buying a TV versus a monitor. If you ever decided that maybe TVs have too much lag, the lag input is so low on this TV that you actually could still consider it. Okay, so that's the difference. The downside, which is very unnoticeable for the average person and for most people, is that you get a color loss if you look at the TV from like a far off angle. But that's actually normal considering most TVs are like that anyway. So that's actually not really a bad thing, but that's the only bad thing that I could tell you off the top that you need to watch with the TV. So if you think this is something you may notice, what you should probably do is go to your local Best Buy, whatever place you go to, Target, wherever they have TVs, and actually check out the TV. You'll see what I'm saying when you look at like all of the TVs. All of the displays have that kind of thing where if it's a LED or LCD from a certain angle, it doesn't look as crispy as if you're right in front of it. Of course, that's normal. That's how it is. Okay, so let's go forward with the review with that in mind. Okay, the first thing you're going to notice about any TV if you're looking to buy a new one or just upgrade is the design. So the Samsung JU7500 is considered a mid-range curved 4K TV. Now, by no means is it mid-range quality, but is it mid-range as far as price. You actually have a lot of TVs out there that can do less than this TV, but cost twice as much, even for the same size TV, believe it or not. So this is something you need to keep in mind. As far as the design goes, this is, however, mid-range, but the quality is excellent. You'll notice that the bevel is slightly thick, but it's okay. The thickness is only 3¼ inches wide, so that's actually pretty thin. The border is kind of thick, but once again, not too bad, 1.4 centimeters. And the actual stand itself for a 55-inch to about a 65-inch is 34 inches times 12. So it's not really that bad. It's not really that bad at all. It's actually pretty good. The stand is actually pretty heavy and it's very sturdy. It's one of the heaviest parts of the TV. It actually will make the TV a little bit heavier than you would expect for a flat screen, but don't worry, it's not heavy as far as weight, as far as not being able to handle it. It's light altogether, but the stand is surprisingly most of the weight of the TV, or actually balances out the weight of the TV. The movie quality of the TV is not where it shines most, but it's actually something that needs to be talked about because it does something that a lot of TVs actually don't. So you have to be careful when you look at these things. As far as jitter. Jitter is like very important with these newer model TVs. So let's talk about contrast. The contrast on the TV is considered one of the higher end TVs, but it's not the best. There's some Sony TVs out there that have better contrast than the Samsung, but like I said, for the price range and what you're going to get, this is actually competing with those TVs. So keep that in mind. And when I say those TVs, I'm talking about the very high-end models like the Sony X930. That's a very expensive TV, but this picture quality competes with it. So that's one thing that I want to say. And you're going to pay way more for a TV that can do what this TV does. So I commend the contrast for the price range. It's actually one of the best contrast TVs out there. It's top 3 in my opinion. The black uniformity, that's where you see if the TV looks right when things are dimmer and darker. Sometimes when things get dark on the TV, it starts to look gray instead of black, and you get this funny little like foggy, hazy look that looks nasty on these displays. This TV does very well with that. It's almost perfect on blacks. So that's a good thing because that's very important when it comes to picture, because if the black is not good, then everything always looks like it's kind of like, when something's fading or something, it just shows more when it looks smoky and foggy, if you know what I'm talking about. There's something called crosstalk when you watch 3D content. This TV doesn't actually have that. So the 3D on this TV is extremely excellent, damn near perfect. Nothing is perfect, however, but it comes very close due to the features in the TV. So if you guys are into the 3D portion of TVs, this is definitely one of the TVs you will want to get. But I don't really do 3D. It gives me a headache, so it's not my thing. But if that's something you're into, then yes, the 3D is a definite good go on this TV. You know, it comes with a set of 3D glasses as well. If you want some good 3D glasses, however, you may want to opt into buying them. It supports the shutter glasses or the regular ones. I would suggest using regular 3D glasses to avoid all of that nonsense where you get these headaches. So let's talk about the judder. The judder comes from 4K TVs, and if you looked at my unboxing, you know that the jitter is what I was concerned about, because if you watch a TV, a lot of people complain when they see these newer model TVs that when they're watching something, it looks funny going across the screen. Most movies are shot in 24p. So if your TV doesn't support 24p, then you will have a problem. Now, that's called jitter-free 24p. So that's what you will want to see. You will want to see the TV supports 24p support, which surprisingly enough, there's actually a lot of model 4K TVs out there that don't. So you have to be very careful. However, this is why I chose this TV to do a review. You are completely safe in that aspect. It supports 24p, so you don't have to worry. This is actually a 120 hertz TV with motion interpolation. So that means that if you're gaming, you can actually get up to 120 frames. You saw, if you watch this image right here, that I was actually achieving 180 frames. I was very surprised. So I'm assuming the monitor may go up to 240, but I haven't tested it. But I actually surpassed 120 on the display. Now, my other display was only able to achieve 60. I easily doubled that on this display. So once again, if you're gonna game in 1080p, you're gonna easily be able to max out your frame rate and see your frame rate potential and performance on this monitor. So for gaming, that's why this is considered the perfect monitor. If you game on PC or you game on console, you can't really go wrong with this monitor, or should I say this TV. I'm already calling it a monitor because of how well it performs. For those of you who want to know about low dimming, it's enabled in this TV, so you don't get any problems with that. Everything is pretty much good. If you know what that is and you're into that, then you don't have to really worry about it. The color on the TV is pretty good out of the box, but you do have to of course calibrate the coloring. If you calibrate the coloring, you can get it to be damn near perfect. But however, if you do it right out of the box, it's okay. But I suggest that you do find some settings online to calibrate the TV, and you use those settings to get the best potential out of the display. I thought the display looked okay, but I was missing my old TV right away until I calibrated. After I calibrated the color settings, I was fine and I was good to go, and I wasn't looking back. So pretty much you have that situation. Okay, moving right along, let's talk about resolution. As you know, with the 4K TV, you have to watch out for a couple of things as far as what it can do backwards compatibility wise. Now, by backwards compatibility, I'm actually not talking about in the term of consoles. I'm talking about the entry level resolution to the max resolution of the TV. So let's talk about it. The Samsung JU7500 has no problem displaying any kind of resolution, even low quality content for DVDs, which is the standard 480p. So the 480p on this TV looks almost exactly like it would on a regular standard TV. Now, when I say almost, because it's not the native resolution of the TV, it's working to get this done. So it's actually processing a picture for you. So it's like giving you a picture and cleaning it, and it's doing all of these functions to it. So as far as 480, if you're into watching standard definition, it's actually fine. You won't really see much of a difference. 720p, the same thing. 1080p, it's almost exactly the same. Now, the reason I say almost is, once again, I'm just being honest with you guys. Most 4K TVs do not give you the same exact quality that you would see in a regular 1080p TV. Now, here's where I need to explain this to you guys so you can understand. Because people like to get fanboyish about certain things. And people are fanboyish about resolution, believe it or not. If you're a gamer, then you understand what I'm saying. So let's explain the 1080p, why it's not exactly perfect. The reason 1080p is not exactly perfect on a 4K TV is because the picture you would get on the best 1080p TV is probably going to look slightly superior to the picture on a 4K TV, because it's actually doing what's called a cleaning, a digital cleaning on a picture. So it's actually working backwards. So it's giving you that quality, but it's not giving you exactly what you came here for, because you came here for the 4K, but there's not a lot of 4K content out there. Now, does that mean that the picture looks bad in 1080? No, it's going to look better than your average TV, period. You have to bring a really high-end TV to surpass the 1080p picture on this particular Samsung model. So if you have 9 out of 10 TVs and it's not the best 1080p TV you could find on the market, then the picture quality is not going to rival this. So you can understand the difference of what I'm saying. As far as the 4K picture, it's perfect. It's exact 4K. If you have a 4K image, then there's nothing to compare it to. The picture on 4K is excellent. I'm giving it a 10. I'm giving it an excellent, okay? Now, for you sports guys, let's talk about the sports portion of the TV because we're going to talk about motion blur and gray uniformity. Now, for sports, the motion blur is pretty good. The response time is 8.9 milliseconds, which is pretty good. The overshoot is 1.7 milliseconds. The backlight picture, we spoke about that earlier, so you know that that's pretty good. The gray uniformity is slightly okay. It's not the best. You know, it's something that could be a little bit better, but it's actually pretty good. So for sports, you may notice this, but like once I said, this is like something that most TVs do, so it's not something that's out of the ordinary. So once again, for the sports guys, you're pretty good to go with this TV since it has all of the settings you would need. Now, just for you guys out there that I want to talk about the curve versus the flat screen. The JU7500 and the JU7100. The 7100 is the flat panel version. It's not the curve version. They have this TV, but this is where you will notice a difference. The response time on the curved one is actually better than the flat panel. So be careful there. If you're into sports, the motion blur is slightly better on the curved monitor. The curved TV. Don't ask me why. I don't know why, but for some reason the response time is actually different and it's more improved on the curve. So if you plan on getting this for sports, you might want to keep that in mind and go for the curved and spend extra money. That's where I noticed the difference at on the TV. Okay, most of y'all probably clicked on this video for this portion of the review that I'm going to talk about. Now this is going to be quite interesting because I'm going to say some things that may confuse or get the fanboys going. But let me explain everything to you, and then if you have any questions, of course you can ask me in the comment section, or maybe I'll do a video addressing it depending on what you guys really want to know, because I'm going to get into the nitty gritty and get very technical with this portion, the video game section of the review and how the TV performs with video games on PC and console and the difference between a TV and a monitor. And this is where you'll see the only difference that I can tell you is something you need to consider depending on how you want to play your games. Now, this is for you people that are serious enthusiasts and very competitive. If you're competitive, you need to hear this and you need to understand what I'm going to say to you. Okay, so let's get into it. This is something that you wouldn't hear from people who have a, let's say, agenda, or they're trying to sell you something here. So let's just get into it. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room: input lag. This TV is considered to have one of the best input lags on the market because the input lag is reading 21.1 milliseconds. Now, for you PC enthusiasts, you probably cringed when I said that. That's right, 21.1 milliseconds. This is considered good for a TV. However, this is where you need to be warned and decide if you are a console gamer, if you are a PC gamer, and if you're an enthusiast, because this matters for both. Now, 4K monitors have been known to give anywhere between 2 and 4 milliseconds. So this is an actual difference in response time when you play a game like Call of Duty. I'm going to explain a scenario right now for you guys, for you to understand what I mean here, because a lot of people actually don't know what this is, but I'm going to explain it because I see it on Facebook all the time and it makes me laugh because these people have no idea what they experienced. And I'm going to explain what they experienced for you. There's something called the matrix. It's a term we use on the internet where some kind of weird glitches happen, and there's myths and rumors that this happens when someone has a better internet connection or someone's lagging out. Now, granted out, your connection spiking can actually cause you to have what you call the matrix effect, where you start rubber banding and moving around the screen as if you're Neo in the Matrix. But in some cases, when you have that instance where you're shooting a person and the person turns around and shoots you and kills you, this is what you call an input lag. This is something that can happen where if my monitor has lower inputs than yours, by the time you hit the button, I may have already killed you because your response time was slower. So this happens commonly in games like Battlefield 4, Call of Duty, and those type of games. So if you consider yourself, you know, tournament worthy, you want to be a pro, FaZe Clan, whatever you want to call it, then you may want to consider switching to monitor, because this is where the competitive side of a gamer comes into play, and a TV is not for you. Now, if you want a game and you want to be competitive, you can still do it on this TV, but somebody with a 4K monitor, which is kind of unlikely at this moment, is going to have the best advantage. Now, does it make a bad player a good player? Of course not. But however, it does give the person who has it a slight advantage. Very minimal though. Like I said, 4 versus 21 milliseconds sounds like a lot, but that person might be on some kind of endorphins or something, because that's really such a close response time for a human person that if you're using that to actually be faster, you're just a fast person. Okay, so I know I just talked a lot, but I had to explain that for you guys that wanted to know about input lag and the difference between TV and monitor. This is the difference between TV and monitor right here. And while the PC elitist types will probably mock you and make fun of you if they say you use a TV, because they feel like they have the slight advantage, and they actually do. The input lag is different, and some people will say it's noticeable, but in my opinion, and me giving you an honest opinion, it's not noticeable unless the person is extremely good. Because if they're that fast and that good, then yeah, they're gonna rape you with that. So I'm just being honest, and I'm giving you the input lag breakdown. Okay, so now that we broke down the input lag, let's move on to the PC monitor portion of the TV and where it thrives as far as why you should get this TV if you plan on hooking it up to a PC. And of course, if you want 4K, 9 out of 10 times at the current moment, you're gonna hook it up to a PC. So this is for you guys that want to play console and PC games on the TV, but here's where the PC can fully utilize this TV's potential. Okay, 1080p. You can get 1080p at 60 hertz with 4.4.4 chroma. Now, a lot of you people wonder what 4.4.4 chroma is. Let me explain what that is to you guys right now. Pretty much 4.4.4 is a grid of colors. If the colors are perfectly aligned as far as the pixels on the screen, they would be 4.4.4. Now, a lot of 4K TVs on the market currently don't do 4.4.4. They do 4.2.0 or 4.4.2 or 4.2.2. Now, commonly you will see 4.2.0, believe it or not, which is where the color breakdown becomes slightly as good. And that's where this monitor, or slash, should I say TV, because it's a TV, this is where this TV dominates, and this is one of the key features that you will not find in a lot of 4K TVs, giving this TV an actual better picture. It has 4.4.4 chroma at 1080p at 60 hertz. Now that you have the crash course, it also has 1080p at 120 hertz, which means it can go to 120 frames. But when I tested it, I was able to hit 183 frames per second and actually see the frame rate on the TV. Now, I will flash a picture at 143 frames per second, so you can see that this monitor slash TV actually hit that. Okay, and I'm calling it a monitor because that's what I'm using it for. And with these features, I don't see why you would actually use it for just the TV. But anyway, I digress. Let's continue. 4.4.4 at 4K 30 hertz. So as you go up in resolution, the 4.4.4 chroma may deteriorate. On a lot of TVs this happens, but on this TV it sustains 4.4.4 at 4K 30 hertz. Then when you bump it up to 4.4.4 4K at 60 hertz, it still sustains the chroma at 4.4.4. and I know how many 4s I said, but it has to be known that this TV achieves it. Now, this is one of the good things about this TV versus other TVs. A lot of TVs, you have to put the HDMI port into a certain portion of the TV. Now, this TV actually has a separate DisplayPort hub that you connect to the TV, and you do have to connect for 4K into HDMI 2. However, you do not have to change the name of the port or do any of those silly things that happens with a lot of 4K TVs, making it feel bootleg. You just plug it in and it knows the resolution and it gives it to you. So you don't have to worry about, am I watching this in 4K? Is this actually working? And there are sites that you can go to test out your feed to make sure that you have 4.4.4 chroma and that you have the 4K actual enabled resolution, and that's what you're getting. So you don't have to worry about that. That's something that you never have to worry about if you do it right. Okay, let's get into the sound portion of the review, because what would a review for a TV be without talking about the sound quality? Okay, right off the bat, let's just get straight to the point. Out of the box, you don't need a sound bar. You will if you want to get a dynamic movie experience, but honestly, the sound is pretty good. I was actually impressed. I listened to and tested out quite a few TVs for sound and spent a lot of time checking it out. And there are some TVs that actually don't do too great with sound, where the sound sounds like if you turn it up, it's going to damage something, or it just doesn't sound good. It's not hitting. This has like a lot of bass and it carries, and you have a lot of different sound options and features on the TV. So if you decide that you want a certain type of sound, most TVs have selections that you can choose from to actually get that going. And if you do go to the menu, as I'm doing right now for myself, just to check and make sure I'm telling you guys correctly, you have a lot of different sounds. You have the standard, which is actually pretty good right out of the box. You have music, which is for videos, and you hear the difference, the dynamics, and it changes the equalization of how it sounds. And you have clear voice if you're listening to a documentary. And then you have amplified, which is pretty good as well too. All of the settings for the sound are actually very good. I left mine set to movie because that's the sound that I like, because most of what I'm doing is using it for some kind of movie type of experience. As far as even gaming, if you use movie, it sounds good when they're talking or something's exploding and things of that nature. So I'm gonna give this a very, very good score for sound. Some people were saying that it was bad, but I can honestly tell you that the sound on this TV is above most TVs that I've heard, and probably is the best sounding TV that I heard today. And I'm not just saying that because I brought it. I'm telling you guys because I checked a lot of TVs and couldn't understand when they said something sound better. It was because it pretty much had a sound bar in it. But for standard speaker TVs, this was the best. And it was so good, I didn't even connect my sound bar yet because I didn't see a need to. Okay, let's talk about the software apps on the TV and the remote. The remote is a smart remote. It's a very simple, basic remote. It comes with the smart hub button. When you press that button, it takes it to a smart hub where all of your features come up. As you can see, you have the recent apps that you use, and then you have the featured apps that come with the TV. But then you can also navigate through the search bar to a store where you have a lot of different sections of apps. It gets very intricate, but it's also simple enough that you don't have to feel intimidated by it. You can use it to do whatever you need, and you can look through it. Okay, so when you click on the smart hub button, you get taken to an apps store. The TV actually has an app store where it has different sections. It has my apps, then it has what's new, which is where you find out what are the latest apps you can actually download to the TV through a wired or wireless connection. I choose to go Ethernet wired because, you know, I'm old-fashioned and I want top speeds. So if I'm going to be streaming something in 4K, I want it to be wired so it can get as fast as speed as possible on 100 megabit per second download. Then you have most popular, then you have videos, where you got apps to watch videos. Of course, number one on that list would be Netflix. And then you have games, and this is very interesting because you can actually download games to the TV and play them, also using a controller. Most notable for this would be the PlayStation Now application, which is actually amazing that it's on the TV. But then you have another one I think should be mentioned real quick, which is GameFly streaming. I didn't even know GameFly had a streaming app until I came here. So with that being said, there's tons of things you can find. You also have a sports section where you can download UFC TV, MLB TV, and all of those apps, WWE, everything you could think of. Then you have lifestyle where you could download regular apps like social media apps, Siri, and all of that stuff. And then you have information, you have education. I mean, it just goes on. You have kids. It goes on and on and on. There's everything on this. It's like having your cell phone on your TV. Now, the thing that I found most interesting about this is that it makes you wish you could take your TV with you, because it seems like it's like a huge entertainment center. It's a standalone. You can use a Sony PlayStation controller and actually play PlayStation games on it. So I was very impressed at the difference in the apps on this TV versus other TVs. This is something that is very, very, very impressive and rivals the hell out of all the TVs on the market, honestly. So as far as apps, if you're into apps on TVs, this has a lot. It has a web browser. It has a camera app. It has Crackle, Hulu, Amazon, anything you could think of. If it's a popular app, it's on here. I didn't see Twitch for you gamers. Now I'm hoping that they will have a Twitch app. But as far as YouTube and Netflix, the apps are extremely perfect. It's better than actually using your regular computer for some of the apps, as simplified as they are, is what I'm saying. So they did a great job on that as well. So let's move on. I think I covered that and everything you needed to know. Like I said, if you have questions about this, ask me in the comment section. And last but not least on the TV is the inputs. The side inputs, you have one USB, one connection mini for the mini hub, one Ethernet cable, one component, one composite, one audio out, and one RF in. Now, as far as the rear inputs, which is the mini box that comes with it, the TV comes with one, which I showed in the unboxing, and I will probably flash the picture here for you guys to see it. It has 4 HDMI ports and 2 USB 2.0 ports, and one digital out, optical out. Now, as far as the 4 HDMI ports, like I said, for the 4K input, you want to use HDMI 2, which is the slot for it. The other 3 HDMI ports will only support 1080p. So keep that in mind when you want to put something in 4K. As far as I know, there's no real 4K HDMI hubs out there. So you probably don't need more than one 4K hub anyway at the moment, or should I say just one 4K port. But if you do need more than one, you may need to get a hub, which is cool because this is already something you could detach from the TV. And I'm pretty sure that if they have more 4K HDMI hubs available, you can just click that and plug it in, because that's the one good feature about the HDMI mini box. I actually like this feature about Samsung, and this is pretty cool. Now, stay tuned for some specs on the TV, and then after we flash the specs over the TV, I will give my overall score of the TV as far as the categories and what I think. Okay, so we pretty much covered all of the basic hardware on the TV, and you know, I broke down everything I can for you guys as far as what you needed to know about the TV. So let's break down, should we buy it or not? Now, this all depends on what you're looking for and what you need. If you decide that you're a competitive gamer who wants to game in 4K and don't care about the size of a display, then we already know that you're going to get a monitor. But if you want a big display and you want to be able to game and still have some competitive edge and enjoy a movie or two, or just get into 4K content, then this is a safe bet for you with this TV, for the simple fact that a lot of TVs in today's time don't have all of the features you would need in order for you to be future proof as far as 4K TVs are concerned. You have things like HDMI 2.0, which some TVs only have 1.4. Now, of course, this is okay for 4K, but then you're limited to 4K at 30 Hertz and a lot of manipulation to get 60 Hertz, and probably you won't have the chroma color subsampling of 4.4.4. This TV has all of that, plus it has the HDCP 2.2, which is a new form of encryption that unfortunately sucks, but if you don't have it, then you can't get the new 4K Blu-ray players to work with your TV. So those people who don't have this and have the 1.4 HDMI ports probably can't even get Blu-ray 4K players to work on their TV. So once again, this is one of the reasons why this TV's safe and future-proof, because it has all of these things, and it also has a great 4K display along with it. So at the end of the day, unless you plan on gaming competitively, then you may want to just get a TV. And like I said, when I say competitively, you still can be very competitive on a TV versus a monitor with this input lag number, because it's not about the input lag when it comes to a player being good, it's about the player. The input lag is just a little handy advantage, but once again, with this input lag being so low, it's very hard for someone to be that fast on an average basis where it's just going to make you feel like a noob. So at the end of the day, it's a lot of real estate on the screen. You can do a lot with 4K. You can get every resolution that's out there. I would say that if you're curious about 4K, or you're looking to get 4K, or you just want to upgrade, this is definitely the TV to buy. It's a very safe and it's a very good high quality TV. It's considered to be mid-range as far as price is concerned, but competes with a lot of top tier range quality TVs. There's Samsung, and then there's the others, and Samsung has higher model TVs that this still rivals. Now, keep in mind that if you want to save a little bit of money, you can also get the JU7100, which is the same TV, but it just has a flat bevel instead of a curve to it, if you want to save a couple dollars and get that TV as well. But once again, the only differences I saw between the two were the motion blur. The motion blur was slightly higher on the flat panel versus the curved having a better response time. It's your boy Jimmy B Gaming we're going to let this review score roll past, and I'm out of here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and if you have any questions, I will answer them there, or I can make another video depending on what you guys want to know. I'm out of here later. Hope you enjoyed the review. Peace.